It's a lovely Sunday afternoon, perhaps where you are not here. It's scorching hot in Mumbai, and just down the road from me is where these two teams are going to play against each other. There's going to be no shortage of heat because the first time they played each other, we know what happened to Bangalore. I will try to not relive the trauma for the Bangalore fans. What the hell? They were 68 all out. All right. Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapur. With me, Shaun Pollock and Michael Vaughan from different parts of the world. Let's go longitude-wise. We'll go with Polly first. How's it going, Polly? How are you?
All good, and you? We've got a bit of a English winter summery day here. Not as hot as it has been over the last few months, but it's probably still warmer than Vaughan.
Moving westward, are you missing your English summer outside the window? Because I know where it is now.
It's actually quite nice. It's very nice. A bit of cloud around, but we're at about 18 degrees today, which we'll take for the start of May. The county season's up and running. Not many days have been rained off. So what more do you want? It's beautiful over here.
If the two of you could just send 3 degrees each here, 4 perhaps, I think we'd all be much happier. Because this afternoon, they're going to be playing at 40 degrees C, which feels like 80 degrees C. That's what they're going to be playing with. Bangalore and Hyderabad, it's Williamson and Faf du Plessis. And Bangalore has won the toss and decided to bat first because, hey, Polly, can't get any worse than last time, can it?
I suppose it can't. But they're looking for the best of the surface. They don't mind batting first in these day games because, the dew and the under light conditions doesn't really influence things. So also the pitches with them wearing, it's going to be probably more commonplace that we're going to see them decide to have a bat first, try and use the surface when it's at its best, put the runs on the ball and then try and break it up as you run between the wickets for those 20 overs and make it a bit more difficult for the team batting second.
Yeah, there's though, I mean, you think of the first fixture, the first time they played, and, we obviously talk about that 68. But, Bonnie, you feel like Hyderabad's not taking that confidence into this game on the back of the run that they're having right now.
Yeah, you'd have thought that that would have given them a huge boost, but they've lost every game since. So maybe they got a little bit overconfident from the hammering that they gave the RCB team. They're a streaky side that they've so far in this year's IPL have gone on these kind of losing streaks, winning streaks, and obviously they're on a losing streak. So they need to get a W very, very quickly. It's getting hot at the top of the table for both these sides, and it really is now to that end of the tournament when you know that you just got to win your games. You've just got to find a way. You just hope that your individuals within your side produce a bit of magic. Batting first, I think, will help RCB, particularly with Hasaranga bowling second on a surface that's probably going to offer a little bit more spin than we see at night. But yeah, it must win time. So let's see who can kind of hold the nerve, keep hold of the pressure, and produce a bit of magic.
Yeah, good point about the points table here, because it's kind of getting a little tricky for these two teams. We have the new teams that are kind of running away at the top of the table. You have Lucknow and Gujarat up at 16. Bangalore's in 4th position right now. But remember, if Hyderabad wins today, they could dethrone them purely basis net run rate. But then Delhi plays in the evening, and Delhi could dethrone both of them basis their net run rate. So, all right, keep the points table up there. Polly, come on, pick your 4. Every time, pick your 4. Come on.
No, but just on this game, it's more important for Hyderabad. I mean, for Bangalore, actually. I mean, they've played 11 games, they've got the 12 points. But Hyderabad have played the 10, and look at their net run rate. So if they win, they're basically in a much better position. Bangalore, I don't think, can afford to lose games really at all. It's almost like they've got a negative bonus point with that negative net run rate, and that could come into play. But I think for Hyderabad too, the key is you do get in these losing runs. It affects everything, not only the team morale, but then it affects the selection process. Because then if you aren't winning, then you want to make changes. You start thinking out of the box. What can or can't we do? And that's the position that they've got themselves into. I mean, there's been plenty of changes in these last 3 games. So it really is important for them to get back on the horse.
Yeah, there's obviously the game. I think, Michael, do you think that Shaun just coined a new phrase? What is that, a negative bonus point?
He can make it
words. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's so important there with the net run rate because a few big losses for Bangalore have meant that they don't have a choice. They just have to finish 2 points above anybody because if they go tied on points, they are going to get left behind because of the net run rate. And I can tell you, looking out the window, it's not raining anytime soon, right? So there's not going to be a split point. That's not happening. It's not happening in the next 2 weeks. I'm looking up. There's not a cloud for love or money. So it's got to be that for them. And the fact that Paulie pointed out so astutely is that actually Hyderabad do have a game in hand, Michael. So maybe that just eases them a little bit and makes Bangalore just a tad bit more nervous.
Well, I'm not too sure. I think Hyderabad will be nervous as well. When you've been on a losing streak, you're just desperate to get that win, just to get those good feelings back around the group, around the dressing room. As Polly says, when you lose games, you start, mixing around your selections. You're trying to find that kind of combination that's going to work. I'm sure they'll mix it again today just to try and get that win under their belts. But these are the times that you start looking at the table. If you can get on a winning streak from here and get into those eliminations, you do see that these sides that get these late wins and get these confident, get the combinations right, can go on and win these kind of tournaments. So I just think today's a must-win for both sides. They've got to get back winning. RCB have got to continue with the performance from the last game, and the Sunrisers have just got to get back to what they were doing 4 games ago. The last 3 games they've been pretty poor.
At least what we like about them is that they're consistent. When they lose, they keep losing. When they win, they keep winning. So Hyderabad fans will be saying, just one win, just tip it over. Let's just start that domino effect in the positive aspect. Well, they made 2 changes today. The Hyderabad team have. Let's have a look at those. They've replaced best friend for best friend. I'm talking about Jay Suchit coming in for Shreyas Gopal. I know that 6 odd years ago, they were youngsters together in the Mumbai squad and they were inseparable then. But today, well, they've been separated because Suchit comes in. He's played a few games before. And then he comes back into the team. And then we have Fazal Haq Farooqi from Afghanistan who comes in for Shaun Abbott. So he's played, I'm looking at my Cricbuzz app, he's played 7 games for Afghanistan. There's 4 ODIs and 3 T20s. He's got a total of 13 wickets. His economy rate isn't bad in those games, so it's a very small sample size. It's not bad. He's got, a little over 5 in ODIs and 6 in T20s. Hyderabad will take a runner ball today, Paulie. They'll take it.
They will. They will indeed. I mean, I haven't seen much of him. Left arm seamer. Natarajan is not fit to continue, so he's not going to be playing. But I think the key is that the 2 changes. First of all, spinning wise, they haven't had the right option. I mean, we've seen it. Washington Sundar is obviously a huge loss for them, so they need to improve their performance. And maybe, as we say, we talk about the surface, there could be an issue with how much it turns. So that's why he gets put in. And then I think Shaun Abbott misses out because of what happened in that last game, didn't it? Was it 70 off the last 5 overs where they absolutely got hammered and Natarajan wasn't there to bowl his stuff. There's either whiz at the death there. So that's why they've gone for the different option. And they really are missing Natarajan. I mean, the way he performed and his stats and his facts and figures this season at the back end have been good once again. I mean, he's basically built his career around being a death bowler, but there's his contribution so far. So, disappointment that he's not involved. They don't really give us the insight into what the injury is, but hopefully it's not going to take too long to get him back in the mix because those figures they definitely need.
But that's the thing with most of the teams. They're very secretive about the injuries, unless it happens on the field, where you saw with Washington Sundar, it was his hand and his webbing. His webbing has been an issue that kept him out. Unless you see it happen there, they're very secretive about these injuries. Bonnie as captain, and Polly, you as captain as well. Why? I mean, why be secretive about these injuries? I don't understand. Is it giving you some edge? You have the other team guessing, oh man, if it's a hammy, we know he's not going to be available for 3 games, but let's not tell people what it is. So they may still be planning against him. I don't get the logic.
Well, I would think probably, in T20 and career, there's that many matchups that you're trying to, hide your injuries just to try and maybe get the opposition overthinking and trying to create a matchup against one of the players that may play. And then obviously Natarajan's now not playing. As a captain, you just want your tone setters at the start with the ball and you want your finishers at the end. And if you've got pretty much guaranteed 4 overs from Natarajan, and you can play around with him as a captain. It's gold, and particularly at the end, there's not that many in this era that you could say are bankers bowling in the death overs. There's only a small few in this modern T20 era that you really, Malinga's gone. There's not many that you can guarantee to bowl at the end. Natarajan is one of those, so he's a massive blow. He's a potential 10 or 15 run sway in the game by him not. So that's a massive blow for the Sunrisers.
Yeah, and he's just below the purple cap holder currently, who is the purple cap holder by a fair distance, with Kuldeep being second. But there you go, Natarajan, the effect that he's having in the death overs, it's really making a difference for Hyderabad. You can tell they're really leaking it. And praise for him came from former India coach Ravi Shastri, who said that he's been in such good form that he would have probably been in his squad for the 2021 World Cup, which happened in the UAE, and he was injured, so he couldn't be there. I don't know, obviously, whether he's part of those plans for Australia, but Australia is where it happened for him. If you remember, he went as a net bowler, and suddenly it was like he went as a gate crasher, then started dancing at the wedding, and 20 minutes later, he was the groom. Like, it was just... what's going on with him? He made his ODI and Test debut there. But, that's the luck of the draw, right? It suddenly happens to you because somebody else is injured and then you get injured. It's frustrating being a fast bowler, Polly. Life ain't easy.
Yeah, very. It's hard work, These batters wouldn't really know much about it. But I think the key is that he just nailed that role, isn't it? That was what he did. He got into the mix and he just did that death role brilliantly. And, as Michael's talking about, how many people can or can't do it. If you find someone who can deliver and can hold their nerve as much as possible. I mean, he's second on the list, but Chahal probably bowls the 16th or over. He's not really at the business end. 17th, maybe the 19th and 20th, whereas you get your teams over the line. And if he can manage to hold his nerve, whether he fits into my Indian team at the moment, I'm not 100% convinced. I think there's so many good bowling options out there that maybe it will be a bit of a struggle for him. But more importantly, his team, his franchise, just need him to get back on the park because he is a big player for them.
Yeah, so while they are getting troubled at the death with their bowling, for Bangalore, the trouble has been up front in the power play. Let's have a look at their team and see what Bangalore's done today. Have they made any changes? Well, after that shocking loss against Hyderabad, the shocking batting performance, they did move Virat Kohli up top to open. He's got a few runs. They need a little more from him in terms of strike rate. But it's the youngsters who've been doing really well for them. So if you leave aside Faf, Virat and Maxwell, the experienced pros, we obviously have Dinesh Karthik, who's an experienced pro as well, finishing off games for them. He's done well, I think, half the games for Bangalore. And then, of course, you have Shahbaz, Mahipal Lomror was really good. You've seen some fireworks from Patidar. It's so interesting, Wani, that every year for Bangalore, the issue used to be that it was just their big guns, the international pros who were carrying all the weight, and the others would just not check in. Now everybody's checked in and they're waiting at the gate. And these experienced guys are still coming with their trolleys. Come on, hurry up, get your baggage in.
Yeah, I mean, I've been impressed with Shahbaz. I think he looks a real good cricketer. Obviously, with the bat, he bowls some nice left arms as well. They've used him in the power play with his bowling. I think they're a dangerous side because, as you mentioned, I don't think the powerhouses have arrived yet. I think they've kind of played okay, but they've not really found the form that we know that they can. The likes of Virat, the likes of Faf, real world-class performers. They've used Hazelwood in a different role to what I would have used him. I'd use him always at the top, try and get the ball swinging for a couple. They've used him in a different role. I do think the RCB side are that side that if they can get, their kind of pieces of the jigsaw on the bigger pieces playing really well and get those youngsters just contributing like they have done, I still feel that they could go quite far in this tournament. It's at that nitty-gritty end now that they have to find it now, and Virat needs form now. But if they can get those key players playing to their levels that we know that they can, I still feel they're going to be a dangerous side.
Yeah, when you look at this, Polly, you look at this chart, you have a look at it and you go, well, the kids are all right.
Yeah, they're going well. Patidar, I like to look at them. Lomror, small sample size with just 3 and 2 innings as a piece, but both of them have come out with some real intent. But just going back to Vaughan's point, when I was at the Mumbai, we always just felt like our rock stars needed to win basically 8 games to get through, and you needed your rock stars to try and win you a certain amount of those. So Bangalore, they would want 1 Kohli, 1 Du Plessis, 1 Dinesh Karthik, 1 Maxwell to get a man of the match, and then their bowlers to maybe win 2 or 3 games on their own. And then one of these youngsters to step out up on one occasion and put in a match-winning performance, and that gets you near 8 or 9 victories. And all of a sudden you've qualified, you're into the business end. But they have had to contribute more responsibilities being on their shoulders because of the way the guys at the top have performed. Not the ideal situation for RCB, but good to see that they've got a little bit of depth there. And they've been given probably more experience than they probably would have had in other RPLs. They just need their big guns now to fire, and then the combination will look pretty good.
Let's also touch upon Glenn Maxwell, because he had such a fantastic season last year with Bangalore. And there was a lot of talk about how this Bangalore setup has unlocked the Maxi that we hadn't seen for about 5 years or 6 seasons. And you suddenly have him here, and he's looking in good touch. He's just not spending enough time. He's got the moves at the party, but it's like, mom and dad are calling and he just leaves the party real quick.
Yeah. I mean, I watched so much of Glenn Maxwell working in Australia. Watched him at the IPL, watched him pretty much all over the world. And he's one of those players that I never see him looking out of touch. But me and Polly, we play a lot of golf. And I just watch Max. He's got too many clubs in his bag. He's got too many. He just needs to take a few clubs out and stick to 2 or 3. And by the way, when he gets to 20 balls, he can then go and get those clubs and put more in the bag. And then he can start to expand. I mean, I can only imagine what's going through his mind when he goes out the bat, because he's got this ability and this power and this finesse and skill to pretty much hit all balls all the way around the park, 360. He can do it at will. But, I still think in the game of cricket, you've just got to give yourself a bit of time. And when you've got all those tricks and all those shots, the more time that you give you, the more fear the opposition have, because they know that he's still out there. And fielders generally always go a bit further out when Glenn comes out, because he didn't really knock it. So he's going to get to 10 off 10 easy. Without breaking sweat, he's going to get to 10. He's probably going to get more than that. But let's say he gets to 10 off 10 in every innings. He's giving himself a chance to get used to conditions, dimensions, the bowlers, combinations, and then he can explode into life. I just think he goes a little bit hard too soon, and that's why he's so inconsistent.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, he's got the runs, Polly. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, you've got the time. How do you tell a player of that caliber, that destructive capability, that just stay till the end? Just don't worry about it. There's enough time. If you look at the dismissals, right, there's only one that's come in the 19th over. The rest have come way too early. I mean, you just have to look across the aisle at Markram and see how well he's been navigating the same issue. Stays, he's slow, and we'll pull up his numbers as well, so then you can comment on both. Because Markram is there. He comes in. We'll pull those figures up. He's slow in the beginning. It kind of takes his time. Susses the situation. Hey, let me check what's happening at the party. Appetizer's all right. Bar's looking good. Music's nice. And then he picks up the groove and the moves, and he's dancing till the lights go off.
Yeah, I think he really's come into his own. I think of those figures that you see of Markram's, the real issue for him is used to opening the batting. So he picks off boundaries at the top of the order, where he's now coming in after the power play's finished, and often has to just knock it around to feel like he's in. He's quite destructive when he gets going at the top, and he can be at a massive strike rate after 6 overs if he opens. But because of the change of role, the Maxwell situation, I'm sure Vaughan would agree that there must have been 15 or 20 coaches out there that have obviously had a talk with him and just said, do you understand that you actually don't need to go 200? If you just bring it down to 150, you're too good a player and you're too important to us. I mean, what he did last year was more consistent, wasn't he? And it's every once in a while just absorbing a little bit of pressure, taking one ball more to maybe pull the trigger. And I think that's what they'd be wanting from him. But he wants to be the big show. He wants to go and play. You've got your other players. You're sort of like a Dre Russ, for example. He doesn't quite have as much skill factor. He's got the power, and that's why he almost has to go when he gets to the crease, because if he's looking to knock it around, he'll probably get himself into trouble. Maxwell's got the finesse game as well. I mean, he's got the different sweeps, the reverses. So he can put guys under pressure in additional ways to just bludgeon it out the ground. And it must be difficult because you pick him for what he's capable of, but you somehow think as a coach, well, I'll have a chat to him and I'll get him to temper things down and play a more consistent game. I mean, you got to be reckless at times. You got to be positive, but I think he just goes over the top too often.
It's a problem of plenty, like the two of you are saying. But when you look at the numbers and you just see, it's not about his strike rate. It's not about his shot selection. I think somebody just has to tell him, you just have to stay till the end. That's it. Now you figure it out. You navigate it. I don't know. Is that easier said than done, Michael?
No, but if you just put Aidan Markram's figures up again about what he's done in this year's IPL and his strike rates, I think this is the perfect DNA for a T20 player. Just look at that. First 10 balls, he's striking at 100, so he gives himself a chance to get in, get used to conditions. 11 to 20, he ups it, he goes to 142. And if he's there after 21 balls, he strikes at over 200. That for me is a perfect T20 style tempo of how you play. Of course, there are situations that you go in, particularly in the middle order, and the rate might be at 12, 14s when you go, then you have to go sooner. But I reckon 80% of the time in T20 cricket, you have the time and the capability to play a Markram-style innings, just to give yourself a few balls, and then you can go. And, you know, if it's your day and you go early and you get a few boundaries early and you just, you know, get a matchup that you fancy early in your innings, you have to go for it, fair enough. But I think 80% of the time you can play like the Markram way. Just give yourself a breather. And as you say, you groove into the party, don't you? You don't go flying through the door ordering shots straight. Just have a pint. You know, then you might have a gin and tonic, and you finish with shots at the end. You don't have to go too hard too soon.
That's right.
I think what's also if we go to the tournament, Josh Buttler, we were touching on it before we came on air with Vaughan, and just saying now he's been a little more circumspect this tournament, and not really gone as hard initially. And I suppose as a coach, it might be an easier sell to someone like a Josh Buttler because you say, well, listen, you're batting against the new ball. So it might nip around, it might swing. So just give yourself a chance to get in. Whereas Maxwell often comes in with the way he's been coming in is like almost at the last over of the power play. You think, oh, well, I've got to cash in. I've got to make sure this over disappears or the new bowler to the crease. But I don't know, maybe at the end of his career, he'll think, oh, if only I'd been a little bit more watchful at times, I could have... I could have made more of an impact.
He doesn't need to worry about the power play because when he hits the ball, the guys at the boundary seem like they're the 30-yard circle. So somebody just has to tell him, you've got a lot of power. And to Michael's point, absolutely right. I have tried it a couple of times. Do not somersault through the window and land straight on the bar at a party. It does not go down well with the host. Trust me, I'm telling you from experience. All right, so Bangalore's going to be batting first right now. I've got a quick psychological question for the two of you, and answer this as captains, please, because you're playing a team in a reverse fixture, a team that it was a total KO, it was a knockout. It was a first round knockout, 3 punches, you're down the first time you played. As a captain, first tell me as a player, do you ever carry the trauma of that previous game? Because you just played it a few days ago. And if you feel like your team's carrying it, what do you say to them? So go ahead, whoever. Polly's smiling. I think he wants to go first.
Go, Vaughan. You go, Vaughan.
I don't know if it has a big impact in T20 cricket. I'd hope not. I'd hope the players are strong enough to realise that, you know, a performance like we saw from the RCB batting unit, it just happens now and again. You've got to be good enough in your own mentality. You'd hope that the culture in the dressing room is one that, you know, that's just a blip. And today's a fresh start. If they start in the first few hours and you lose a couple of quick ones, then you can start thinking of the memory tank of the last game. That's a precarious. But if they come out and get, you know, 20 for naught and they're off and running, I don't see it having any impact. You'd be worried if it had an impact from a game that was a week or so ago on today. You know, all the players' minds should be clearly on that first ball, winning their matchups, making sure that they're focused on today. So I don't see it having a great day. I think in Test cricket, actually, I do see kind of plays like this when a team's been hammered 1 week to go to a next Test match 3 days later. I think that has a big impact mentally on players, the longer format of the game. But I don't, and I've not been in enough T20 dress rooms to give you the honest answer from me being personally involved in it. But I haven't seen it from outside to think that teams get affected too much from a game that was a week or so ago to a new contest today.
I think two things in this situation is, first of all, you've got three of the most experienced players at the top of the order for RCB, so they should have the ability to put it behind them. And also the personnel from that game. I mean, Marco Jansen was the one who got it to swing up front and did all the damage. He's not even playing, so it's not even like they have to be concerned about him. And Natarajan is also not there, so they picked up 6 wickets between them, and they're no longer in the team.
That's quite interesting, isn't it? That Marco Jansen did the damage, yet he's not playing against the side that he did the damage. I know he's had a difficult time since then. You look at that; he's gone for 0 for 101 from 8, and I like the word dropped. That's the IPL for you. You can have a great game 3 games ago, you have a couple of bad ones, and you can't start after that. I'm surprised that he's not. I use the word matchup now because I keep getting told that these matchups are so important.
So important, yeah.
It's a matchup 3 for 25. It's a matchup that worked against the RCB side. So I'm surprised he's not playing.
Yeah, the key too for them as the bowlers there. I mean, both Bhuvaneshwar and Jansen on that day got it full enough and shaped it, and that's why they caused so much trouble. And when you look at the issues that RCB are having at the top of their bowling order, Siraj and Hazelwood are very much back of a length bowlers. And we've seen so many times in this T20 format, the guys who get it full enough to shape it are the ones who have the real impact up front. Chahar for CSK. You've got Shami bowls a nice full length with a little bit of movement. You've got Trent Bolt over the years, Malinga for Mumbai. In our day, we used to have Munaf Patel the one end who gets bounced, and then you got Malinga trying to get it full and shape it. And I just think that's the issue why the RCB aren't striking up front, is because they bowl in the wrong lengths. Jansen, I thought he bowled brilliantly on that day when he got them out for 68. But then the games after it, I think he lost his length a little bit and what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the over of the tournament. It's a candidate for over of the tournament, what Marco Jansen did in the previous game. Pretty much just knocked Bangalore back against the ropes, and they just never picked up from there. Well, if you look at it, the last 2 games that before Jansen was dropped, gave away 101 in 8 overs. Umran Malik's given away 100. So Marco Jansen, Umran did just a tad better than you, which is why he's still in the team. Just a run, yeah? It's the difference between winning and losing. But Hyderabad will be hoping that Umran Malik can show some of that 5 form that he's had, but that happens when you pick up 5 wickets. You're an unknown commodity sometimes. You come into the tournament, and then the others try to pick at you, and they go, you're bowling 157. I'm going to send you back at 257 and kind of make a statement. Will Bangalore be able to do that today against the Hyderabad bowling? They are batting first. Let's do our score guesses real quick. Michael Vaughan, let's start with you. How much is Bangalore going to get today?
I think they're going to get, I'm going for the darts. 180.
180. Excellent. Love it.
I'm usually 177, but I'll go down a little bit today. I'll go to 173.
173. You're at 180, right? I'm going to go up. I'm going to say 190. I'm going to say Bangalore's going to get some revenge today. They're going to get some sweet revenge against the Orange Army. They're going to get it done. All right, we have the Joy Factor question for you. Let's have a look at what Joy has done today. Is it a tough one, or has he just phoned it in? Which player has been part of the winning side in the Indian T20 League for 3 consecutive years with different teams? Oh, that's a good one. Love it. Jeez.
So he played for Mumbai, went to CSK, and then to Kolkata. Must have been something like that, hey?
Could be. Yeah, that's a good call. Could be. Interesting. First 3 years could be as well. I know that Darren Lehman was a player in the first year and a coach in the second.
Yeah, if you did say player there.
Yeah, no, I was just giving a piece of trivia that is not helpful at all. That's what I was doing. Let's try a little bit of a show off. All right, so we have our score guesses here. It's 170, 180, and mine is 90, just 90. You guys heard me wrong. Virat Kohli's out first ball, by the way, so that's why I'm just bringing mine down a bit. All right, send in your Get in your Joy Factor answers. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Hashtag Joy Factor on Twitter. And we have the match party as well, which is happening on Cricbuzz Plus. So do have a look-see there. I'm sure that there's some very interesting reactions to Virat Kohli, to Suchit getting Virat Kohli out. So the first over from spin, and it's got the big guy. Interesting. All right, we're going to see you at the end of the 10th over with the Cricbuzz Combox. A big thank you to Shaun Pollock and Michael Vaughan. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm Gaurav Kapur. You are watching Cricbuzz Live.